What's up guys, Black Rose Duelist here, and today is the top 5 decks of September 2016. This is also, I guess you could say, the top 5 decks of this new format, since it just started in September, actually late August. But yeah, so if you're looking for the 5 best decks that, if you are a new player or a player coming back in the game, or you just want to find out what the best decks are to kind of, prepare and train against, I guess you could say. These would be the 5 decks that I would worry about the most or suggest to you to use if you want to be competitive and try to win some games. Also, if you're a fan of Nintendo or Pokemon, I have a new gaming channel that you can check out in the link below. I do really cool, unique content like amiibo competitions, like Survivor with amiibo, and crazy top 5s and stuff like that. So make sure to check that out in the link below. Starting our top 5 list is number 5, Cyber Angels. This deck is a debut on this list. It just came out like earlier in August. It can use the Star Seraphs, but it can also be a more pure ritual fairy build. But basically, it uses Herald of Perfection and the Queen of Dragons ritual card and uses them with the Cyber Angels in order to really spam a lot of rituals and hurt your opponent's hand by discarding cards with Ouroboros with the Star Seraphs, and then also with the Queen of Dragons card. And then you also have the Cyber Angels. One of them is a beater that makes your opponent send cards from their field to the graveyard, and it basically just spams a ton of these fairies. There are also rituals, and it works with the new pre-preparation of rites and the Manju Senju with 1,000 hands, guys. And yeah, it's really consistent that you wouldn't really expect it. They also have like a petite angel thing where when it's normal summon, you get to search a ritual spell of Cyber Angels, or you get to go into a Cyber Angel ritual. The deck is just really consistent, and being able to go first turn, get 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, and then also have Herald of Perfection being able to negate, let's say, 2-3 cards, it's going to be really hard for your opponent to get out of that lock. I think just the deck is pretty consistent, has really good first turn plays that can get into pretty easily. I think people are now starting to hear about this deck, and it'll be played more often, but it's also going to at the same time be surprised, and a lot of people are going to get caught off guard, and they're going to not really know what these things do, which ultimately really does help a deck, especially one like this that isn't number 1 in the list like other decks are. Okay, moving on to number 4. Pendulum Magician is still here. The only thing is now it has to change its build up a bit. Now, when I say Pendulum Magician, the deck is kind of all over the place. It has Odd Eyes as the Pendulum Magicians, it has Performa Pals, it has Magispectors, it has the Mist Alley Phoenix, or Big Bird, and it just has a ton of support. It has the new Magical Abductor that it uses, it has a Ignite Reload card. There's so many different Pendulum ideas into this deck and archetypes, all in this one deck. It's basically just call it Pendulum. There's also some people use the Draco Slayers and Drake Overlord guys still. So it basically is a combination of all of these good, the best of the best of every Pendulum archetype we've had so far. Even I saw one build that topped. I forgot who posted it, but it used even Clipboard Scout and Monolith, which I thought was an interesting idea. So basically, the deck, it hurt losing 2 Pendulum Call, it hurt losing 2 Kieran, and it hurt banning the monkey, obviously, monkey board. But now you can add other things into it. Magical Abductor, being able to use Terraforming into Sky Iris into playing a Pendulum on another scale. That's 3 counters alone, a spell counter. Every time you use a spell, the Abductor gets a counter on it. So just using those 3 cards, a Terraforming, going into a Sky Iris, playing Sky Iris, then playing another scale, is 3 counters right there. You can now search a Pendulum monster from your deck with the Abductor. It's very simple, very easy. So a lot of people are using that engine now. Now that Kieran is limited to 1, you can use the Magispector Bambuku to search Kieran, and then also put it back in the deck with reload if you have too many, or you're just searching itself at that point. So that helps the deck. There's new Odd Eyes monsters that are really good, and you can also now go into the new Pendulum Synchro Monster, which halves your opponent's life points every time it destroys a monster, which is pretty cool. It can play Synchros, Xyz. It just has a lot of combos that are really good. The Pendulum mechanic is still overpowered. It's never going to really go away, I don't think. Being able to still play Draco Slayers, even if it's just one of the Luster, being able to go into Ignister is still very, very good. And Draco Face-Off is still limited at 1. You can still use it. Pendulum Claw is still limited at 1. You can still use it. It's just the problem now is, do you even want to play the Pendulum Magicians in this deck? You can play some of them, but you can either play all of them, or I wouldn't play any of them at all. Because now there is the Odd Eyes build, and there are Draco Slayers and Magic Specters and Perform Pals they can add to them. You might not need the Pendulum Magicians now that calls that one, but I still think the most prominent build will be playing a playsets of the Pendulum Magician still, because the one that is a scale 7 or 8, I can't remember, that's a level 7, he still is a great level 7 that you can spam and go into rank 7s with, and you can also destroy spells and traps, which is still really good. You still have all of the Pendulum Magicians minus the main one that destroys itself to play another one, but still, it's still a really good deck. It's still a really good engine that can easily synchronize, and I didn't even mean synchronize, be cohesive, and synergy is the word I'm looking for, with the other Pendulum decks. So I think it will work out. Number 3 is Cosmos, down 1 from last month's list. I think the hit didn't really hurt it too bad. Actually, it kind of helped, I would say. Well, no, I guess it didn't help, but 3 allures really helps the deck. Because if you think about it, if you have the field spell on board, you can basically make Allure a Pot of Greed, because you're drawing 2, then banishing a dark Cosmo. Then you get to add that Cosmo back with Cosmo Town. So it's really just like a Pot of Greed. Having 3 of those will make the consistency of the deck a lot better, and Dark Destroyer 1 hurts the deck pretty badly. It can't do its OTKs, it can't do its crazy combos as greatly, but it doesn't kill the deck. It still has huge ships, it has Forerunner and the one that negates the traps, still has a Dark Destroyer, still has a lot of cards in it that are really good. I don't think the deck is dead whatsoever. It still has really annoying plays, and the fact that you can't target these big ships is still a huge problem. They might be using the planet, the whatever it's called, I think it's just called Cosmo Planet or something, you know what I'm talking about, Dark Planet, the 4,000 one, because being able to negate spells and also be a 4,000 wall and just destroying your opponent in 2 turns with 2 direct attacks, it's going to be pretty crazy. It can really hurt the other decks on this list as well. Obviously, Pendulums and a few others. Okay, number 2. Number 2 is up 1, PK Fire. Now, yes, this deck did get hit, but the hit was not that great on it. I mean, like, it's not crucial to the deck. It's not going to kill it. I talked about this before. PK Fire, like kind of Pendulums, I think they'll be able to adapt for a long time. It has the Speedroids, PK Fire, I mean, it has the Phantom Knights with the Burning Abyss. It can go back into playing Fire Lake and destroying 3 cards in the opponent's field. It still has 3 Dante. I think the only way to make sure this deck is dead is banning Dante, and even if that happened, I don't think the deck would be completely dead, honestly. They're just a bunch of monsters that replenish itself, and those 5 cards that you start off with every duel will always be on you, because those cards always replenish himself in one way or another, and that's why this deck is so good. Again, it can adapt itself very easily to the format. I think that Monarchs are really hurt, really helps the deck. To me, I think the Monarch matchup was really bad in Burning Abyss's favor. So yeah, I think this deck really got benefited by the list because of Monarchs going down. I mean, Beatrice going to 1 didn't really do much. So we'll see how this deck goes, but I think this is going to be a really popular choice for players that don't want to play the number 1 deck. The number 1 deck is Blue Eyes. Now, making this number 1 choice was kind of hard because I feel like the top 3 is pretty close. I think this format is very fun, more fun than last format, because I feel like Blue Eyes is in no way the same position that Monarch or Cosmo was last format. I don't think it's the overwhelmingly number 1 deck. If you don't play it, you don't win. Cosmo and PK Fire could win, but besides those, I feel like there wasn't really another good choice to play. Now I feel like any deck can really beat Blue Eyes, but Blue Eyes has the better chance of winning. It's the strongest deck right now, in my opinion. It has so many draw cards. It spams rank 8s, which are, in my opinion, the best rank to summon, because you have the ability to go into like a 5600 monster no matter what, being the one that is the Galaxy Prime Dragon, I think, because it detaches and then it gets ranks times 2. So it's 1600, 4600. Then it can go into Dark Matter, which destroys everything because it's 4000. It can attack twice. It's just, and then banishes cards from your opponent's deck, which is great. It can really hurt a lot of decks. So I just think it has the best possibility to win duels. And I think because it won Worlds, even though Worlds is a different list, I think it's going to get a lot of popularity and names to the deck. I think people are now have the validation that this is a good deck and they can be playing this and winning. And I feel like a lot of the nostalgia will bring a lot more people to this deck, and it'll be the #1 deck. Do I think it is #1 by a big margin? Definitely not. I think this deck is powerful, but I don't think it's going to be unbeatable like the previous decks of the formats were. In my Dark Magician build, I go at least, in my Dark Magician deck, I usually beat Blue Eyes, so, that's just a random example, but a Dark Magician is not on this top 5 list, but it can beat Blue Eyes pretty easily. It's just, I think whoever is the better player and has better plays will win this format, and those are the formats that I like the most. Whoever is the better player, plays the better, I guess, side deck and makes the best choices will win this format, not whoever has the most broken board, like first turn, I go Cosmo, play 2 ships, or I play this Monarch you can't summon from the extra deck, or whatever. It's just not stupid anymore. I feel like playing against Blue Eyes is fair. You will probably lose more than you win if you're not playing Blue Eyes, but it's probably like 40 to 60 or 45 to 55. I don't think it's a huge, annoying #1 deck, and I think it's a pretty fun deck to play too. And yeah, I think that's why it's the #1 deck. It has so much strong monsters that it can spam really easily, and those strong monsters have strong effects on top of it. So yeah. What do you think is the top 5 decks of 2016 for September? I think this list brings a lot more positivity to the game. I think it's a lot more fun being able to play Blue Eyes and win a ton. Being able to play still PK Fire and Cosmo, but not as annoyingly. I know it's not really a word, but annoyingly. And yeah, Pendulum is fairer now. Going against Kieran was absolutely horrible. But now that's limited to 1, I think it's more of a balanced fight. And yeah, so tell me what you think. I'll see you guys next month. Well, I upload more videos than that, but yeah. See you guys next month for people who just watch these videos. Bye-bye.